Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of videos. Today we're going to try something new today. Going to be playing like a grandmaster. What do I mean by this? Well, I'm going to be using this amazing software here. You may or may not recognize it, but this is a piece of software called Lucas Chess. It's a free chess training tool. Where one of the features you can train like a grandmaster. Wow, amazing. We can play like the best players in the world. It's a very fun feature. Essentially what happens is you get the game and you have to try and play exactly like the grandmaster. You can also make deviations, maybe even make some better moves sometimes in the grandmaster, which is possible as well. So let's get cracking into it. So today we're going to be playing like Morphy. Why Morphy? Well, I love Morphy games. I think Morphy has a very interesting style of play. I think is the most straightforward to understand as well. All his moves kind of make sense, and it's very good for learning how to sort of exploit beginner weaknesses. Or just any sort of problems in your opponent's position. Let me just try and find the game I want to get. 1 moment. So I've got my book out here. I'm not going to read it. I just want to try and find which game it was. I think, from memory, it was a black game. And this is all nonsense to you on here. Let's see if I can find it. I want to get the right one. So it's a game against Paulson, from my understanding, and it's game 6. So this was part of what was the first American Chess Congress, and Morphy managed to basically annihilate his opposition. Actually, no, we'll go for this one here. I'm just having a look. This is a game against J. Thompson. I think it's this one. It was a Gaicho piano. I think it's this one here. Right, let's find it. Okay, cool. And I'll just move the camera slightly so you can see the rest of the board. Okay, sweet. So we've got the position here. Right, so from all I know about this, I believe it's a Gaicho piano, whatever it's called, Gaicho piano, I don't know. I can't pronounce it properly, but essentially we know that this is going to be the first few moves. So bishop c4, and I believe bishop c5. Okay, so this is sort of the starting position here. I think from memory, knight to f6 is pretty good, as is b6 is okay. We'll do that because it gets ready to castle. I don't play the Italian game for black. In fact, I don't play e5 at all. I did play for a little bit online, but I don't really like the positions that come out of it. To be honest with you, it's just not my cup of tea, shall we say? So, got a few options here. I think I've seen a6 been played. I think, to be honest with you, the most thematic move and the move that makes the most sense is just castling. So I think we're just going to do that. Okay, d6 is played. Now, what's nice about this software is what will happen if you make the wrong move. It's not a problem. It will then rank your move compared to what the player, in this case Paul Morphy, played. So it's saying here, according to here, although it was only at a depth of 6 seconds, which isn't a great deal of time, I've played slightly better move than Morphy. So it's saying I've 0.1 point ahead of Morphy, which isn't really that significant, but as you can see here, d6 is the 5th most popular move. It's saying here bishop to b6, I can see that as well. It's also saying that's pretty good. a6, which is what I was discussing earlier. So I've seen this played quite a lot. I've played this in one of my matches not too long ago, which basically gives it like a sort of safety hole for the bishop to jump back to a7. Anyway, let's go back to the game. So h3 is played. So this has the idea of stopping this bishop from coming to g4. It's a little bit annoying because this pin's really nice. It like really can be quite frustrating for the knight. At least this way, by playing this immediately. If I did play bishop to g4 last move, you had to play h3, and I jumped back to bishop. You had to play maybe g4, and then your whole king side's ruptured. At least this way, the king side's still intact. So I think again, let's go for the castling move again. The same bishop to e6. Okay, I can see that move being good. So it's saying here that I did the best move here, which is really positive. Again, I think there's nothing wrong with castling here, but bishop e6. So we'll kind of see why that's a good move. So just so I go back to kind of explain the idea of this move. Again, very thematic move in these types of positions. The idea of this is being if this bishop ever captured, oops, I've absolutely ruined it. If this bishop ever captures this bishop, then we capture back with our pawn, and this creates a quite, although you've got those double pawns, this creates a nice pawn to support the d5 advance. So it's not in white's best interest to capture this. Although it's tempting to double up the pawns, it doesn't really help white's situation at all. Okay, so bishop comes back to b3. Let's see, again, I think just castling is pretty good, but d5 is played here. Okay, so it doesn't like castling as much. a5 possible. This move's not a bad move at all though, but d5 is very dynamic move. Okay, and now we have a few options for capture. So I think we can immediately rule out the queen captures here. So we've got knight captures, or we've got bishop captures here. Which move is better? So the knight, if we recapture the knight, that gives this knight really nice scope around everywhere. But to be quite honest with you, I quite like the look of the bishop captures a bit more. I think that offers us just a little bit more. We don't have to worry about moves like c4 as well in any of those recaptures, as that just really blunts out the bishop. So I think I'm going to go, let's go bishop here. Okay, so that was the right move. And he castles. So far so good for black. It looks like he's got quite a healthy edge in this position. All his pieces are looking pretty active. White has still got to get his bishop out and this knight out at some point. So I think again castling just seems right in this position. Although I'm a little bit worried about just rook coming to e1. Not too sure how I would react to that threat. So is there anything I can do? I don't really want to play e4 because again that will just come here. But I suppose if I castle, then the rook can get behind the pawn, and I'm doing okay. So let's do that then. Okay, so that was the right move. Bishop comes to g5. So I think maybe just a simple h6 just to push the bishop away. But no, we have to be a little bit careful because he can capture here, and if he captures back, then this bishop falls. So we've got to do something about this bishop now. So part of me is just tempted to capture, but that's going to just help white's development. So I wonder if there's anything better here. So it's a little bit tough now. So it's not particularly, it's quite difficult to defend this knight. I could come back with the bishop, but I have to kind of concede in the fact that I'm losing a tempo in doing that. So it's an okay move. It's not really, again, bishop. I think bishop here maybe might be the only move here. Don't want to take this knight, by the way, just so you're wondering, because I think queen captures is really strong. We then can't avoid the potential doubling of our pawns. So actually a bit of an annoying move. Not overly sure how to react to this. I'm very tempted by just bishop captures. I wonder actually, if I do bishop captures, can he take with the queen? Because I can just take this pawn. And okay, I get these double pawns, but I'm up a pawn. And then this pawn's defended. He's then got this. So, right, if I capture, queen captures, queen takes pawn. He's got queen takes on b7. It's looking pretty deadly. I mean, maybe I've got a knight that moves away or something, or just getting out of the way. But he's always got this straight capture here as well, just doubling up my pawn structure. So I don't like the look of that as well. There's a lot to think about here now. But I'll need to make a decision. I'll probably give myself another minute or so to really think this out. Looks like looks like Mr. Morphy's in a bit of a mess here. Or maybe I'm the one in the mess, I don't know. I think I'd just like to move bishop to e7 in terms of that it's just a bit safer. But I just know that this move just looks a little bit wrong. Let's see. I think I'm going to play it just to see what the right move is. Okay, interesting. So it does like the move bishop to b3. Let's have a look why. Okay, so it didn't really like the bishop e7. I'm not too surprised, as I think this was a little bit passive. We'll go down the line, the rabbit hole a little bit as to what's wrong here. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think black's still doing okay. But it's not as good as what Morphy played here. So he did capture this way, and interestingly, pawn captures. So I think Thompson didn't like the idea of capturing with the queen. It'd be interesting to have a look at that later to see if that was maybe a mistake or whatever. So let's have a look. What is the next? What's the next move here? So we've got to really, sometimes I think when I'm doing these positions I like to try and think like Morphy, and I know for a fact Morphy loved to get his developments out as quickly as possible. So I'm just trying to think of a way to maybe develop this queen to a useful square. It's sometimes quite difficult though, because this knight's still pinned, which is very annoying. I want to play a move like h6, but I just know bishop comes back to h4, and I haven't really achieved anything, so let's have a think. I'm thinking about the move maybe queen to d6, or maybe rook to e8. Can't see there's too much wrong with that move. Trying to see what actually also white can do here. I mean, white's got maybe plans of just playing rook to e8, just straight attacking this pawn. So that's why rook to e8 seems quite nice, just protecting it before he does anything there. Or queen to d6 as well. In some ways is not a bad move, but actually in other ways, I think in the long term, knight to d2, then knight to c4 could be a problem, so I don't really like it in that regard. Is there any other things that black can do? Maybe a little bit worrying about move like b4 here. That could be a bit of a threat. So pushing here after bishop moves, push further. You can push again, hitting the knight, and then the knight can get captured. So maybe I need to play a move like a5 here, just stopping that threat. So I think I'm going to go for that, a5. h6 was played, okay. So I did get the best move here, according to the engine. So a5, with the idea of stopping b4. I would be interested just to see if some of the other things we were exploring Rook to e8 it doesn't really like at all. It's probably an inaccuracy here, as this b4 idea comes in. Yeah, so this is strong. And now how do we defend that pawn? We have to play a move like, well, we do that first. Okay, so we can defend it that way, I suppose. But yeah, it doesn't look too good. So that's good. So that's good that we've got that. Bishop comes to h4. I think maybe now we can do a5 again. I can't see what's wrong with that move. a5. Can you do bishop to g3? Rook to e. Well, I have to do rook to e8, rook to e1. How do I go about defending that pawn? It's looking a little bit shaky. Maybe a bit queen to e7 with the idea of coming back here. So I think we go a4 again. G5 was played. Okay. Now I really didn't like a5 here, and I wonder why. So g5 was the move that was played. Morphy really didn't want that bishop there. Let's have a look at the problem of this move. b4 captures, rook captures, queen captures. Ah, okay. That was a move I didn't see. Okay, and now my pawn structure is looking a little bit ropey here. I'm a little bit interested in just a move earlier instead of h6. Sorry about this, guys. I'm just gonna. Do you know what? We'll look at this later because otherwise we're going to be here all day. Not that we're already here for a long time already. Let's get out of here. Let's get the comments off. Oh, I can't get them off now. Oh well, never mind. We'll continue from here. So bishop to g3, so attacking this pawn. So how do we defend? I'm guessing we're just going to do rook to e8 here. So e4. Wow. Okay. With the idea after maybe captures. Well, I didn't like rook e8 at all, actually. I wonder why. Again, we'll come back to these little threats here. It's looking a little bit shaky. So knight has come to e5. What does this all mean? What does this all mean? Okay. So attacking that knight. So the threat obviously in just doubling the pawns. If we recapture the knight, bishop recaptures, which attacks the other knight. So is there anything we can do about that? And he's also threatening just to push d4 here, which really solidifies the knight in the centre. It could be quite a pain. And attacks that other bishop. So really, I think I really do need to capture here, but I'm just trying to find a good sort of follow-up to that. I guess after knight captures, bishop captures, I just play the rook. But then what do I do against d4? Unless here I play... No, that doesn't really work. I was thinking knight to h5 attacking the bishop, but that doesn't really work. Can I do bishop back? He got d5 now. d4, sorry. I'm going to have to capture here. Okay, so bishop captures. Now we're defending the bishop, we're defending the knight, I should say. But it's looking very loose at the moment. Very loose indeed. But we can win a pawn here, from the looks of it. So pawn captures, and I suppose he can capture this knight after queen captures. He takes back the pawn. I wonder if we can embrace our inner greed here. Go for that, and then because I'm just a little bit worried about d4. I think d4 is just a bit of an uncomfortable threat. So I'm going to capture here. He captures there. Okay, so yeah, I think this is okay for us. This must be pretty good for Morphy now. So we've got nice developed pieces. This knight looks a bit shitty. We're going to get our pieces all into play here. So, but how's the best way to do that? I'm thinking maybe get rook to d8, just hitting the queen. Can't see anything too wrong with that. I'm just going to see if he's got any crafty ways of trying to exchange off the queens. I mean, even the queen's off, I would be quite comfortable in this position. So I think rook to d8. Okay, so he's done rook a to d8. Is there any difference? Saying rook f to d8 wasn't as good. I wonder why. I suppose maybe it wants to get the... Yeah, okay, maybe I can see that then. It's kind of wasted tempo doing that. So queen there. I think maybe just take the open files. I can't see anything too wrong with that. Unless there's something a little bit dynamic here. I can't see any amazing tactics here. So yeah, that's pretty good. I think bishop coming back to b6 is probably forced here. Just due to the fact that it's defending this pawn. So I'm going to come back. Knight comes to here. So threatening to come to c4. Although, to be quite honest with you, I wouldn't be too mad if that happened. Although it does allow the rook a whole file to himself, so maybe want to try and avoid that. Ooh, what should I play here? What should I play? I'm a little bit lost for a good plan here. This is sometimes a challenge in my positions. I think any positions. I mean, I've got these lovely files. I've got a good bishop, good active queen. But what do I do with all of it? He's got a bit of a rubbishy knight. Okay, he can come into c4 at some point, but right now it's not doing a whole lot. I mean, I could play queen to e6, and that just really paralyzes that knight completely. However, he could play then knight to b5, so just starting to attack pawns. Trying to think how I can improve my position even more here. I mean, maybe even just queen to c6, as that just completely restricts that knight. Although then c4 is playable then. A little bit cramping. Right, so let's have a think. I'm thinking maybe, well, I look of queen to f4 as well. I'm just trying to, essentially, I always look at what's my worst piece. And okay, this bishop's pretty good. I don't really need to move this at all. I could play a6 actually here. I say that a6 is okay. At least then if knight comes into here, I can just move the bishop back. So I'm doing okay. But the only problem is the knight comes to a6. Okay, that's not really an issue though. I just play b6, do I? No, it's looking a bit suspect, that idea actually. Don't like. So a6, knight here, bishop comes back, knight to a6, and that's hitting the b2 pawn. So I don't like the idea of that anyway. I mean, I'm just liking the idea maybe going queen to f4, throwing the rook into the infiltrating on d2, That also stops the knight from coming into c4. If he does do knight to b5, that's okay. This pawn is being held. I can play a6 then. So I really like that idea. I'm going to go for it. So that's what Morphy did play. So that's really good. It's good that I spotted that then. So now Thompson, quite rightfully, is trying to just exchange off pieces. So let's have a think here. What can we do? What would Morphy do? Quite literally. I'm trying to smell if there's any tactics in this position, but I can't really see anything too concrete here. Let's see. What could we play? Okay. Because I don't really want to exchange the rooks here. If I exchange the rooks, obviously I think that just helps, that just untangles white a bit, and he then gets an open file. I'm happy to keep these on. He can't play his other, he can't play his other rook. No, that doesn't make a difference. I was just thinking, oh, revelation, but secretly no, there's no revelations here. I mean, if I take with the rook, he has to take back with the queen. The reason being, if he takes back with the other rook, then I throw in this check. Oh no, I can't, because the queen defects it as well, so he's got enough protection on there. So maybe I can get away with maybe playing with like c6, with the idea of just going bishop back, and then that kind of forces maybe a little bit of weaknesses being developed there. It's a little bit slow though. I don't know if I like that idea. I'm just a bit worried about if he can exchange. Well, no, but then he loses the pawn at the end of that. So does it? Yeah. Takes. Rook to e1. He's starting to get a little bit untangled. Unless I do c6, bishop, rook takes, rook to e1, bishop to c7, which is hitting, so he's got to do something about that. But then g3, and he's kind of okay. I can't really see a great way of exploiting that. He's got even, I don't know. Let's see, I'll give myself another minute. I think I need to maybe just make a move. Otherwise, Morphy wouldn't have taken this long. So, I'm smelling tactics. I feel like there's probably some tactical shot that I'm missing here that Morphy played and won the game. I'm just not seeing it. Let's just play c6, see what happens. Oh, that was the move. Okay, interesting. So Morphy just playing quite bluntly, but I guess I can kind of see the logic in the sense it also stops this knight. This knight's completely shut off from the game. So now it's played rook to d3. So potentially maybe doubling up here, or in fact actually that's just stopping, completely shutting down this fret of this, because you can actually, you even could just play rook to g8, or no, he wouldn't do that. He'd maybe do just pawn to g3. I think he is doing a-okay here. And I haven't got any threats of maybe queen to d8. Sorry, e8, because he can just capture here. So Morphy's opponent, very crafty opponent, finding all these little defences. Joe Thompson, I don't know how good he was as a player. I think this is maybe like a quarter final. I've certainly never heard of this Thompson guy, but he's had about 3 or 4 games against Morphy. So, and this was in, I think, the first American Chess Congress. I don't think he was a terrible player. He was probably a strong amateur at the very least. He's not been playing. Well, he's been playing some weird moves, but they're not dreadful. But let's see, what can we do here? It's really tough. I'm not really seeing the real plans for Morphy. Maybe I'll just take here. Queen takes rook to d8. So that's good. Then I've got the whole file to myself again. Queen has to come back. Then I can infiltrate that way, couldn't I? So I like that idea, but it's not the right idea. Okay, bishop takes on f2. Wow. Here comes the tactics. Okay, I can kind of see it already. So after, well, I'm interested after rook takes, what happens then? Can you just throw, ooh, maybe, oh, that's good. That is good. Ooh. I mean, I didn't play the worst move. That looked pretty good too. With that, ooh, even better, that idea. But anyway, we didn't play that. Okay, so I think his opponent chickened out here. I think, yeah, that probably wouldn't have worked. So now rook to e8. I don't know if this will work because rook d8 will throw a check in. So I think we can maybe rule that move out. But how do we continue this attack? I wonder if bishop to g8 is playable, with the threat that if he doesn't, well, if he takes here, I throw in this checkmate. Ooh, there's mating too, so that's cute. And so how can he defend it? So oh, I think this has to be played, doesn't it? Oh no, it's not the best move. But it was playable, but it just doesn't quite win. Ooh, yeah, okay, I can see why now. It looked like a great move, but yeah, that kind of kills me a bit. Oh, I thought I was playing a brilliant move there, but sadly, it was not to be. So, I think the similar idea here is if I do this queen to f3, sort of shuts me down a bit. But I'm liking the idea of rook to e3, hitting the queen. How does it work though? So I'm looking at rook to e3, queen to d2. Queen to d2. Oh dear, let's have a think. Let's go for it. Is the move that was played. Now there's a check. Now I've got to be careful. If I go to G7, he's got this check here. So I think I've got to go to H7. Ooh, King to G7 was played. Now why is that better? Don't quite see it myself, to be honest with you. Some finesse. I was a bit worried about this. Yeah, surely this just wins. Wins the queen. Is just Morphy just in a better position here? I'm not too sure. Rook to D1. Rook captures, bishop captures. Hitting that pawn. Is it doing much else? I feel like I'm letting white back into the game here though, with my moves. Otherwise, bishop to G3. Ooh, rook comes to saving the day. Although I quite like the move rook to E2, with the idea that okay, let's try that. That looks good. Oh yeah. Okay, so I can capture this pawn if I wanted to, but is it worth it? The problem if I do that is got knight to D6. But then maybe I've got rook to F2. I feel like I need to play maybe a bit of a prophylactic move here, because I don't like this move coming in. God, it's a long game, this one. I hope it's not like some long end game. I was hoping just to have a nice short video that I can show you all. But I think I'm going to pause this video. I'm going to break this into two parts. So stay tuned for part 2 of Morphy's endgames, where we're going to go hopefully not too far and too deep into the endgame. See you soon. Bye.